What's up beautiful people, welcome to today's video. My name is Joe and I'm a professional tattoo artist based in the south coast of the UK. I'm going to do a series of videos on different tattoo techniques and today is all about lining. So grab a cuppa and get comfy. You do get different tattoo machines for lining and shading and colour packing. I generally just do lining, so I just have a lining tattoo machine. There are also two types of machine, a rotary machine and a coil machine. This is a coil machine and this is quite old school, and this is the spring. This is my jazzy new rotary machine and this is also a liner and it's tiny. You can't see the motor in here, it's all inside. So yeah, the motor is in there, so that was kind of pointless. So the main difference between a liner machine and a shader machine is the length of the spring, which means basically how far the needle moves. Shaders generally have a 3.5mm stroke and then liners have a 5mm stroke. So with a liner you get a little bit more movement in the machine. However, you can just change the voltage and that will also adjust the needle. You can change how much the needle comes out of the machine by moving it depending on your machine. So as much as you get different machines for different things that are better, generally you can use one machine for kind of everything, which is what I do. After a while you get a feel of what is good and what works for you, and also you work out that different places on the body, different parts of the skin work differently. Sometimes you need to run your machine slightly quicker and sometimes slower. This is something you'll work out over time and you just need to make adjustments as you go. When you're first learning to tattoo, you generally start off with quite simple designs, a lot of lining, line designs, names, simple things like that. So this is why this is the first video that I wanted to show you how to line. Then we'll go on to shading and dot work. I'm going to do two designs on myself today, so I can show you. Here are the designs and I'm going to pop them on my leg because I need to fill up my leg and I can show you how I do it as well. With this coil machine, you use the normal needles, like old school sort of tattoo needles, the long ones, and then put that in a grip and that will hit this bar. And that's what makes it go in and out of your skin. I don't have any needles because I don't use this machine anymore. So I'm going to show you cartridges. This is what I use now with my rotary machine. This is the biggest needle that I use because I do a lot of fine line work. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it. And then we are going to the smallest needle that I use. So the biggest needle is a 9 round liner, 12 gauge. There's loads of numbers on the box, you'll work it out eventually. This one is a 10 gauge tight 3 liner. So you can probably just about see the needle there. It's really fine, really fine. It's what I get to get all those tiny little details in my tattoos. Okay, I'm gonna get the carbon stuck on and get set up. When starting the tattoo, you want to start from the bottom here and then work your way across from that angle. That is so you don't rub off the carbon, and you rub a small layer of Vaseline over the area that you're going to tattoo. I'm going to be using a 10 gauge 5 liner to do the outside of the nails, and then a 10 gauge 3 liner to do the little highlights in between the nails. For the smiley face, I'm going to use a 12 gauge 9 round liner because I want the line to be quite a thick line. My voltage is 7.4 for the type 5 lining, doing the outside of the nails. I would advise not going straight in. Adjust your hands, maybe do a little practice. See if you're going to make it. So if you don't think you're going to make it, your hands are in the wrong position, adjust your hands and then go for the line. Quick side note, please get a proper tattoo apprenticeship. This is not a video to teach you how to tattoo. This is for extra tips or if you're wanting to know a little bit more about the tattoo process. I would advise putting the machine at a 40-degree angle when doing line work. Another little tip, put Vaseline on the back of your glove and that helps you slide instead of getting caught up, just to get that smooth line. Then go for it. You don't want to go too fast and you don't want to go too slow, just a nice steady line, trying to keep on top of that carbon. Give it a little dab, wipe off any extra ink, try not to actually wipe to the side and just dab it softly on top so the carbon does not come off. Another tip, when you're first starting to tattoo, instead of trying to get the lines on straight away, just scratch the lines on over the carbon so then you can wipe it, give it a good wipe and not worry about the carbon coming off, and then you can use those scratch lines as your new guideline. You'll find some angles easier than others. For example, this way you can rest your hand on a surface and slide it across, whereas angles going in other directions are a little bit more tricky. The good thing about tattooing someone else is that you can move them, and you can move yourself as well to make it easier for yourself and for them as well. Not so easy when you're tattooing yourself, and it's just, all of it's awkward. Okay, so that's the outline scratched in or marked on, and now I'm going to change the needle to the Type 003 round liner just to do those highlights, and then it will have all of that design on. Then I can go back over any lines once all of the design is on. And I'm keeping the voltage the same at 4.7. If I need to adjust it, then I can do. When doing these lines, because I want them to be super fine and kind of going a little bit thicker to thinner, I'm going to kind of flick the lines. So you do these lines a little bit quicker than you would a normal solid line. Now that one's all lined on, I can give it a good wipe and see if there's any areas that I need to touch up. Once you get rid of the carbon, you'll be able to see exactly what you've tattooed. Usually the tattoo does look quite solid, and then you give it a good wipe and then you can see the lines that are not in there. So you can see with these main lines on the nail, these ones need to get touched up, but the outside looks all right from here. There we go, that's my nails. Beautiful. Okay, time for the smiley face, and I'll be using my 12 gauge 9 round liner. I'm going to start at the bottom, which actually looks like the top from the screen, and work my way around. And here we go, nice and slowly, try and keep in the depth the same on the skin the whole way round. Give it a dab, make any adjustments that you need to. I think the key is not to go too fast. You probably want to get it over and done with, not just for you, but for the client as well. But you're just not going to get that solid line. So definitely go nice and slowly. Don't go too slow. But as you can see here, I am going quite slowly with the line. I would also say you definitely don't want to go too deep. I would much rather do a touch up if it comes out a little bit rather than go too deep, and that will cause ink to go under the skin and it will look like it's bruised, and that's really hard / impossible without laser treatment to make it look good. So you can always do a touch up. So definitely I would advise going lighter and having to do a touch up rather than going for it too deep and then messing up the tattoo completely. Straight lines and circles are a little bit trickier than free-flowing lines like this sort of design where there's no strict structure. You find that with flowers and that type of thing, that if you go off the carbon a little bit, it doesn't generally matter. Whereas names and straight lines and circles, you've really got to be careful. Let's give it a wipe and have a look. Okay, I think I just need to touch up a little bit around the top here, and I think we're good. Again, just giving it a good wipe before you check it. Make sure all the carbons come off so you can see what actually is in the skin, and do any touch-ups that you need to do to make sure that everyone is happy with it. And why would you not have a melting smiling face on your leg? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Let me know if you've got any tricks or tips as well that you use for lining that I might find useful, and let me know if you've learned anything from this video. See you next Friday at 2.